Hola, hola. Buenos dias, G and Gs. My name is Trekk with 2Ks, and this is Weekend Crypto brought to you here on the Gentleman of Crypto YouTube channel. If you do not know, basic ideas, I cover weekend crypto news that starts, let's say, happening on a Friday and then goes on to Sunday. And basic idea, recorded late Sunday night, and then it comes out Monday morning for you guys. All right. Going forward, what I'm trying to do is not go past 6 stories because it definitely is a number of things that happen, but trying to cover all of the things in a relative amount of time, ideally under 20 minutes or so, it is very hard because when I tell y'all, depending on what you're paying attention to, like throwing out that whole money talk stuff, it's a lot of things that happen on the weekend somewhere in the world. Yeah. But nonetheless, before I get into these stories, I do want to say thanks to the folks who are tapping in. I appreciate, King and Zay appreciate. We about to get to that 1000th episode. I know everybody's waiting for it. I understand it is definitely something that I'm looking forward to myself. And yeah, thank y'all for still tapping in. Thank y'all for still watching. And basically, thank y'all for still paying attention. I understand the market is down right now. And if you do content, you lose a lot of audience and viewership when things are down. But thank y'all, warriors. We appreciate. So jumping into this first story, is going like this. Again, like I said, a lot of stuff is happening, and there's a number of other people who are on the channel too, so they can also, I imagine that some folks are definitely going to end up covering the different things that also happen this weekend. So that's why I'm not worried about catching every story, because I know somebody's going to cover it during the week. But I'm going to jump into this one right here, because when I first saw it, I thought this was a good thing until I read at least the beginning stuff of the article. So the U.S. senators revise cybersecurity bill to include crypto. I'm going to read this little part here. 2 U.S. senators passed a new bill amending the Cybersecurity Information Sharing Act of 2015 to include crypto firms to report cyber threats they face. The U.S. regulators Cynthia Loomis of Wyoming and Tennessee Marsha Blackburn revised the Cybersecurity Information Sharing Act amend at reducing criminal activities in crypto space. Ooh, pardon me, my bad. I don't know what's going on right now. So I'm gonna jump to this part. If passed, the proposed bill would open a way for crypto-oriented companies to report cyber threats directly to government agencies. As a result, crypto companies will gain government authorities' assistance in case of data breach, exploits, or ransom attack, flagging suspicious entities to flagging suspicious entities to law enforcement authorities will reduce the risk too. Here's what I'm gonna say why this is a bullshit article, and I'm really not a fan of how we are going from this thing of being about community policing, because this stuff already, I'm gonna get up close on this one. This already happens. There's a website called Rect, literally keeps track of all of the public information around smart contract hacks. Majority of them right now is Ethereum, right? Because hey, Ethereum's the number one right now, but Solana's moving up there too. Other smart contract enabled blockchains have also been here and there appearing on the list, but it's mainly Ethereum. Now, here's where I'm annoyed at. The crypto companies already report their situations and issues to law enforcement. This isn't a new thing, y'all. They out here trying to make it seem like, oh, this is going to help. And you know what else this reminds me of? About a couple of weeks ago? No, maybe a month ago. Ethiopia made it that if you did a crypto related business in their country, you had to register with their cybersecurity department. That to me is just intelligence gathering. How am I saying this? I keep saying Cynthia Loomis is not a friend of the space, but apparently because I'm some bald-headed guy on the internet, what I say, it don't really mean much. But I don't see her being, and I don't see the things that she's doing as being, if it's not about privacy, economic sovereignty, digital sovereignty, then to me, you not really being a friend to the space or the concepts of how this thing got started. That's at least how I look at it. I know not everybody looking at it like me. Nonetheless, this is just mind blowing to me that you wrote into a law what is already being done because we do community policing now. Yo, all of the cybersecurity companies that are in the space that deal with the crypto blockchain side stuff, like they already do the reporting to one another and to the companies, the exchanges, and to the authorities. That's my whole point. Let me just move on to this next story. Next story is Russia supplying Kazakhstan with electricity for cryptocurrency mining. So when I actually started digging in on this, basically what happened was there was a report that got put out about the energy demand that was going on in Kazakhstan because it shares a border with Russia. It was a former Soviet member, but they have ongoing businesses, right? Ongoing bilateral trade. Electricity is one of those things. And for all the folks that keep saying Russia isn't into crypto, Russia is going to stop crypto. Yeah, y'all really ain't paying attention to what's going on and y'all don't understand. The other thing being is this reminds me of a story that I covered maybe more than a month back. Binance was doing consulting at the governmental country level. And I think this was one of the countries that they were talking to about how could you bring blockchain and cryptocurrency into your jurisdiction and be able to basically bolster up the country coffers, right? Mining was already going on in Kazakhstan. This right here, as far as Russia supplying power directly to these miners and stuff like that, hey, it's a win for them because the power was already cheap. It's going to be a whole thing that comes out of this situation that I don't think people really understand. Like this whole fear of mining and it not, it wasn't even this story. It's another story. I'm going to get into that one next. Bottom line is Russia is helping to supply energy resources into Kazakhstan because the mining industry is growing. And I'm talking about crypto mining. That's what I'm talking about. Crypto mining has already been growing over there. And so this is going to be another way to bolster the industry. So if you're into mining, I don't know, you might want to look outside the country, but I'm just not giving financial advice. Just talking about some of the things that I've noticed with all of these news stories that I cover, okay? Other thing to go into here is DeFi needs appropriate regulation before moving to retail, says Fed Chair Finance Redefined. So I'm not going to get into this whole article because it's not really an article. It's more like a caption thing going on that Cointelegraph wrote. I don't know. I didn't read through to see who said this exactly and where and when they said it. But here's what I do know. Here's what I do know. This is dumb. You know why it's dumb? Because it was already at the retail level. You know how I know that? Because the technology works peer to peer. That's me and you. That's me, you, and some person that we don't know that's 3,000 miles away around the other side of the earth. As long as the internet is there, as long as the network is there, as long as the consensus mechanism can work out, guess what? It works already. It was already functional. And King be saying this all the time. The technology works. The stuff that they're looking to add in right now has jack diddly to do with the technology working at a peer-to-peer level. But folks are going to be like, yeah, you're right. We do need more regulations before you let more retail people get. Wait, more retail people? So you mean it was already retail people using it? Yeah, like, I don't understand. Some days I be looking at these titles and I'm just like, what? Or like, I look at what the person says and I'm like, are we playing stupid? Or are we really that ignorant to this was already global? This wasn't just an American thing. People's using it right now as I'm saying this. It's already at the retail level. What this crap is about, in my opinion, just me, the guy bald-headed with shades on the internet, that was about getting the financial folks in, which, ooh, yeah, the Wall Street folks are in. Like, they are in. And more regulations is going to push more mom and pop folks out and more Wall Street big firm investor money in. Yo, the other day, before I jump into this, the other day I thought about this. And it really was an epiphany moment that we went from being about bottom up of being able to invest in these companies, these projects. Now, granted, a lot of shit was scams, but like the idea of any and everyone having the ability to be in, to now we're flipping it back to the traditional financial investment model of only if you have a certain level of understanding, a certain amount of money, a certain type of connection and stuff. Like we're literally watching it flip back to that. And I don't care what no one argues. That's what I'm looking at when I see how the businesses are going, the centralized companies, the DeFi stuff, the regulations globally, not just here in the US. That's how I'm taking this whole thing. But enough of me on my horse. Into this right here. If you're in my era, you know about Sega Genesis, you know about Sonic the Hedgehog, you know about what was that, Beastmaster? So basically, Sega is licensing out its IP rights to a company called Double Jump, which is like not a major. It's a new startup gaming company out of, where is that out? Japan, I want to say. Yep, Tokyo. So Japan. So Double Jump Tokyo gets licensed to Sega's Sanagokusi. I know I'm saying that wrong. I'm not even going to mess with the last one for a new blockchain game. So basically, they don't have nothing yet. The idea is, hey, we're going to make stuff, and we got one of the OG gaming systems to officially do licensing deals that we will have NFTs. And here's the thing about this. Here's what I'm wondering about this. Considering what I see going on with the right to own stuff right now and the whole thing of the subscription model, are these going to be NFTs that people actually own, considering they're based on the IP of a company? And will it be more like what Vive is doing with Marvel and Fox and them, where it's like it's digital assets? It's not NFTs in regards to I purchased this, I can move it at my own free will and agency because I control the private keys to that thing. That's not what Vive and them have. Is this the same thing they're going to end up pushing? I don't know. All I know is this deal happened. They don't actually talk any hard numbers in here about like how much the deal was, but the fact that this happened and it's going to start like showing out in 2023. So jumping on to this next story. Yo, so I was looking at this and I was like, yo, why does this name look mad familiar? So CFTC brings action against Digitex futures, right? CFTC brought an action against Digitex Futures and its founder and CEO. The agency claims that the firm and founder, Adam Todd, failed to register with the CFTC and additionally attempted to pump its native token. And what I want to do is go to these two paragraphs right here. The basic point of it is the CFTC is doing the same thing that the SEC does as far as, hey, we're going to throw some things at you. And then depending on how your pockets look and how your money situation is set up, if we can't cut your money fund off, you're going to take whatever charges we give you, unless you can really argue your stuff out or you got outside money that they can't touch. That's how it usually goes, at least from what I've seen in this crypto space, right? So now, here it goes. The complainant further alleges that Todd attempted to manipulate the price of the exchange's native token, DGTX. The CFTC claims Todd allegedly manipulated the price of the DGTX by buying up swaths of the token, not with the intention of making money on the individual not with the intention of making money on individual trades, but inflating the exchange's holdings by pumping the price of the token. Now, so here's how I sit on this. Here's how I sit on this. Because like I said, when I seen it, I was like, wait, what? Is that who I think it is? And then I had to see the name. I used to write for these folks. And I used to say to them all the time, don't ask me to do nothing about price talk and trading. It's not my cup of tea. It's not where I'm at. If you've ever paid attention to my stuff that I talk about, I always say I don't do the price talk. This was one of my early experiences on why I stayed away from doing price talk about any platform or any crypto thing. Like, I'm not telling you hard numbers other than I know markets go up and markets go down. That's it. So now, this particular section right here about this allegation that they're throwing in, what they're describing is when he would talk about the automated market. What did they call it? It was automated market makers. They were one of the early exchanges to use automated market makers that held a certain size or a certain amount of the pool of the tokens that were out. And that's how they were making the back and forth of the automated market. So it was a matching book on the back end. So that's part of what they're describing there, but they're making it sound like, oh, he just bought up the stuff, but I'm saying, from what I remember and understand, they're really trying to associate that probably since he controlled the company, the algos buying the tokens the way they did counts as him doing it. But that's a whole nother thing. And then reading this part down here, so basically the CFTC wants the court prohibiting Digitex and Taj from continuing transactions. They also want Digitex and Taj to be halted from trading on registered exchanges, engaging in transaction involving commodity interest. Basically, they threw a whole bunch of here's what we want, here's what we want, here's the 15, 20 things that we want. And the idea is if he can't fight it and go into court to argue against it and be like, all right, I'll pay out this much and then go about my business, they're basically looking to shut down his business. And I'll be surprised. I'm surprised, honestly, because I didn't even think they were still a thing. I'm not even gonna lie with y'all. I didn't think they were still a thing. Nonetheless, they are. I'm gonna say I wish them the best of luck, and hopefully that situation works out, that they don't cut them at the kneecaps and just send them back. Yeah, man, that like this story had me cracking up when I actually put together like why I knew the name. Anywho, jumping into this last thing, another example of how the system is always touted as being fair and equal and this, that, and the third. Now, granted, I don't know the whole setup for the legal, not jurisdictions, but the enactments or like how the laws carried out over there in, was that Denmark? So, arrested Tornado Cash developer to stay in jail after appeal rejected. Basically, arrested Tornado Cash developer Alexei Pertstev appealed has been dismissed, and and he will stay in jail until at least late November. His wife tells the block. And then they're also saying that basically they're taking all of his property and they're going to auction it off. Like, he hasn't even been charged yet. Let me get up on close on this. Your man hasn't even been charged officially. These are all allegations. He hasn't made it to court yet to fight his stuff out. And they already seizing his stuff and then looking to go sell it off. And this is the system that y'all be like, yeah, we got to get more regulation. We got to have these people like this be in charge of. If this isn't arguably like a collusion in your face between the American government and their government, come on now. What are y'all thinking? Again, I'm just some guy on the internet. This is not financial advice. This is just me saying I've covered a number of stories, and at a certain point, you just start seeing patterns. Like, you just start seeing patterns in behavior of the government and how the law says one thing, and then they go off and do something else in practice. Case in point. Nonetheless, I'm gonna leave it on that. Like I said, I'm trying to cut down on these stories a little bit because it takes more time than arguably it should. And then I'll be getting all worked up and stuff, trying to cut back on that whole thing. But nonetheless, I do appreciate y'all for tapping in. I appreciate that you followed it to the end. If you did, it's a Monday. Hoping y'all have a good week. What else? Oh, doing two things this week. The Wevolution not podcast, but the Wevolution Twitter space is going to be on Wednesday, 8 p.m. It's me, Crypto Blood, Yoga Boss, and BayJ. So that's the four of us talking about that in regards to the Wevolution and what it means to Web3 and Black and brown people as founders and end users and all that stuff. We talk about a number of things on that Twitter space. And then I also do another joint with my man 3D, and it's called Metaverse. Metaverse is the Cliff Notes to Web3. And we talk about a bunch of different things going on in the metaverse space that like we are messing with, we are interested in, and we are trying to get other people to understand about how the metaverse is a part of the whole Web3 thing going forward. And so that's where I'm at right there. Oh, and if you don't know, I'm also on Crypto Blood TV's channel doing the whole My Two Satoshis. That's like once or twice a week. Those things come out. And yeah, I'm doing a lot, y'all. I understand. It's a grind out here. Like it really is. Also building on the Builder DAO setup that I'm doing with 3D again in the metaverse space. So we actually do builds for people over on the Uplift Metaverse, if you know anything about that. All right. Close out. I'm done. I promise. That's it. It is a Monday. So if you are not being productive today, at least be in a safe space and in good company. And other than that, I hope y'all have a good week. Until next one.